Very well audible, Neha ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Kunal sir.
Good evening, madam. Yeah. Am I audible? Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Okay.
So, good evening to all the esteemed members of Field Research Foundation of India, our distinguished session expert, Dr. Kunal Soni sir, and all participants. I'm delighted to extend a warm welcome to each of you as we gather for this intellectually enriching 10 days training and faculty development program on advanced tools and techniques for research methodology. This initiative is proudly organized by the Institute of Marketing and Management Delhi, Research Foundation of India, RFI-CARE, and BPIT, with a generous sponsorship from Eklavya University, JHRF Academic Research Guide Association, and Edu Academic Inc. Before we proceed, allow me the privilege of acquainting each and every one of you with the esteemed presence of the most proficient and outstanding Dr. Kunal Soni sir. He is an esteemed associate professor of finance and accounting at the School of Management, GSFC University, Vadodara. With a rich academic background spanning 10 years and an additional 3 years of industrial experience, he holds a diverse set of qualifications including a BBA and MBA in finance, a PhD in management, and various specialist diplomas. His remarkable contributions to the field are evident through 24 publications in widely recognized journals such as Scopus, ABTC, UGC Care, and Web of Science. Notably, he holds a patent under the Intellectual Property Rights Act 1970, recognized by the Government of India for his innovative work on techno-innovation and growth of the Indian share market. His academic excellence is emphasized by winning 3 Best Paper awards at international conferences sponsored by UGC and AICTE. Acknowledged as the best faculty of management department at Parul Institute of Management, he has also been a sought-after resource person and session chair at over 20 B schools, UGC, HRDCs, and research institutes across India. As a dynamic educator, he imparts knowledge through training sessions on analytical software like SPSS, AMOS, Smart PLS, eViews, Advanced Excel, and R program. His commitment to continuous learning is demonstrated by his participation in over 20 faculty development programs organized by prestigious institutions such as IIM Ahmedabad and IIM Visakhapatnam. Having presented 90 research papers at national and international conferences, along with conducting 17 seminars and workshops, he stands as a beacon of expertise and innovation in the realm of finance, accounting, and management. So, once again, let us extend a warm welcome to the esteemed Dr. Kunal Soni sir. Today, we will be delving into the topic of compiling references and bibliographies. With that, I kindly request Dr. Soni sir to please begin his presentation. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Neha, madam, for the introduction. Yeah. So please confirm the screen sharing. It's visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's visible.
Right. Right. Thank you. Okay. So good evening, one and all. The topic for today's discussion is, compiling, referencing, and bibliography, which I consider to be one of the most important aspect as far as research is concerned, because the research, references, literature review, problem identification, so they all are interconnected with each other. They all have the synchronization process with each other, and that's why the compilation of references and bibliography is one of the most important aspect that we all have to see to it. And it is very essential that we should give the proper guidance and proper treatments to all such aspect, as and when we are drafting our research paper, or whether we are going for our research proposal as a part of the funding projects in terms of the minor and major research projects. Why compiling, referencing, and bibliography is important? Because there are certain evaluation parameters as a researcher that we have to identify. Let's say if I'm a researcher, then I have to see that that whatsoever the references that has been come out from the researcher, I must need to ensure that this references has been came out from the qualitative resources. So when I'm talking about the qualitative resources, means the resources, the references, bibliography that should be come out from the good journals that carries value, that carries some reputations, that carries some image, and which carries some weightage to put some impressions, to put your research onto the qualitative grounds. And that's where the societal acceptance towards the research that you have provided to the society is going to be on the higher side, right? So many of you are planning for good scopus journals, abdc journals, and we had tried multiple times also, and we must have noticed that sometimes we are facing, not sometimes, many a times we are facing a rejections of the paper that we have submitted to the journals. The reason why we are facing these rejections from the journal is very simple, right? And it is very precise. If at all I have to speak out to the rejection of the reason, right? So the rejection process always start from looking at the references that you have provided to the journals, right? So there is important things that we have to see to it. These are the precaution things that we all have to take care as far as we are submitting our research paper into the research, or whether we are submitting our research proposals. We must need to ensure that whatsoever content and things that we are providing as a part of supporting backbones, documentations to the research projects or research papers, they should be on the qualitative grounds, right? So they should be very enriched in terms of the data, in terms of the research that we have provided. And that's why the referencing and bibliography should be managed appropriately to guide and to put your research on the qualitative grounds. You must have noticed that all the Scopus, ABDC, Web of Science journals are asking for the separate file for the referencing and bibliography. The reason while asking this kind of things is they want to check on their portal whether the references and bibliography that you have provided are from the qualitative journals. Like, let's say you are publishing your paper into Scopus ABDC journal, so they at least expect that whatsoever referencing and bibliography that you are providing uh, from the journals, they should not be below grade of the Scopus and ABDC journals, right? So let's say if you are submitting your paper in Scopus ABDC journal and you are providing referencing and bibliography from the peer-reviewed journals or UGC CARE journals, so I think your chances of getting acceptance is going to be on the lower side from the first step itself, right? So that is why very, very important part that compiling, referencing, and bibliography should be appropriately justified on all sort of grounds that we are looking for. And that is why this process is very essential. Let's start with the presentation. So I had given you the basic blueprints of why the compiling, referencing, and bibliography needs to be justified, and why it has to be handled with care, right? So these are the reasons that why we have to handle this care with this process. Okay. So the flow of presentation should be like this. We will see to it what is the meaning of references and bibliography under the research. Then we will also start with how to start the bibliography and references, how you can begin as a researcher. If you are new to the research, what you should do. If you are moderate in terms of research, what you can do. And if you are experienced, so nothing to say, but how to improve your process in terms of compiling, referencing, and bibliography, that we will discuss. Then third point is why we need the references and bibliography as a part of our research process, that we will also see to it. And we will see to it different types of references and bibliography that we have to see. What are the different types of references and bibliography that we all have it? Then we will see what are the elements that we have to cover as a part of the references and bibliography. What are the different formats under which the references and bibliography needs to be covered? And Then lastly, we will also see what are the difference between references and bibliography. So till the time I had started my presentation, I had also represented this topic to be the same. But there is a thin line of difference that we also have to see, but we cannot say that the referencing and bibliography is same. They are different in terms of their usability and the accessibility in the journals. So that difference we will also have to discuss. So this difference we will discuss after some period of time. Gradually we will move ahead. Okay. Then let's see what is this meaning of references and bibliography. So the first is references refers to the sections at the end of a paper or documents where you list all the sources you cited or consulted during the research and writing process. Right. So in a nutshell, if I have to say that whatsoever paper that we are referring as a part of our research process during the research journey, the paper which are supporting to our topic, supporting to our research idea, that research paper we will take it as a base for our research work, and gradually we will move ahead in terms of the usage by taking the various contents which are supporting to our research idea and process. Right. So this is one of the part. These sources could be include either from the books, they could be from journals, various websites that we are referring, various kinds of reports in terms of report published by RBI, SEBI, right, financial institutions, companies, right. This should be from interviews that we will conduct and any other materials that contributes to the development of your work, right. So whatsoever sources where you are getting the data for your own research work and research idea, that you can consider to be the part of the references and bibliography. Then the next part is the reference sections usually follows the main body of the text and any appendix, right? So reference sections usually have the main body of text, means whatsoever you have referred as a idea of your research paper in terms of, you must have noticed that whenever you talks about references and bibliography in your research work, you usually have the maximum references and bibliography in the sections of introduction and literature review. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Right. So why it is so? Why it is
See,
so?
more or less, yeah, sorry.
Please.
Please go ahead.
Yes,
No,
please.
no, please, after you.
No, I don't have to say, but you just share it.
Yeah, so basically, since I've also been into research, what I find is a bibliography research or the entire is a sum up of all the quality literature that we have gone through.
Yeah.
The more we emphasize onto the reference, the more we emphasize onto quality references, quality papers, the more higher are the chances of it first being presented as a quality paper, and number two, of course, getting accepted at a better pace. Because I would say share this experience with you. There was this paper of ours. What happened was initially we tried putting it, and four quality journals rejected it. Later it was accepted after we did a lot of modification for almost 3-4 months for, and then
Hmm.
it got accepted to Scopus,
Hmm.
and of course got published. So that
Right.
is what my take is onto it, sir.
Right. So maximum referencing and bibliography, when you have gone through the Scopus ABDC paper, you have maximum references and bibliography have been noted in the area of introduction LR chapter. And max to max, when you have gone through in terms of like research methodological part that you have taken as a support for your research study. Right. Because data analysis part is your own. Right. Data analysis part is your
True,
own.
very true. Very true,
Right.
sir.
So where referencing and bibliography will not play a role. Where referencing and bibliography plays a role, right? Where,
Basically, in our secondary research that we present in terms of SLR or something. I mean,
right,
yeah.
systematic literature review, right? Right. So that is where the referencing and bibliography plays a significant role, because when your study is not your own, but your study is based on someone other studies, and you are just trying to conclude those studies by looking at the findings and conclusion that you have derived from best paper. So where the systematic literature review and maximum focus should be on the previous researcher. So where even the data analysis and finding should also consist of the referencing and bibliography. But if at all we are talking about the quantitative research, which is on the primary data, right, where the data is completely your own, where data analysis part does not consist much of the referencing and bibliography. But to support and to reach at this level, what are the literatures, papers that you have studied as a part of the idea getting part in terms of your research? You always have to cite those resources, right? And that is where you have received an idea to proceed further for your own research work. And that is why the importance of referencing and bibliography is always be there, right? And that's why the referencing and bibliography can be done in multiple level and multiple types, right? Let's say there are multiple styles like APA styles, that is American Psychological Association, right? You can go for MLS site, right? You can go for Chicago styles, IEEE, right? Harvard, right? uh, BibTeX, right? So many other styles are there through which you can put your referencing and bibliography in your research work. So that is very important to take into consideration, right? Fine. What else we can conclude over here? So what are the benefits of having the proper analysis of the references? So firstly, referencing will help you out to define your scope of study and to bring your topic into narrow down. So let's say I had talked about I want to go for some research into some particular area, like I want to see the perception of people in terms of, let's say, online banking practices which is prevailing in the Gujarat state. But let's say first of all, this is my complete title. But if I want to go for online banking, then what sort of things that I need to identify? So I usually talks about the EIC model, right? If anybody has idea about what is EIC model, so please answer. I usually talks about EIC model, right? So how to narrow down your topic? So you usually have to go for the EIC model. So if I have to talk about the EIC model, so EIC, E stands for economic, I stands for industry, and C stands for company, right? So let's say I had idea about to do the research on online banking, right? So what is the first idea that should be come into my mind? That these online banking practices I want to study in which area. So firstly I had started with India. Then in India I reached to particular state, that is I concluded that I will be studying from the Gujarat state. So Gujarat state, even in Gujarat state, if I have to restrict my research up to certain area or location, so I can restrict up to like Baroda city, Ahmedabad city, right? So this is how the economy, right? So you have to define your area or geographical locations from which you have to do. Second part is I stands for industry. For which industry are you talking about, right? For which industry you want to do the particular study? So let's say if I want to do the online banking practices, right? So online banking practices, so this is for banking, yes or no? So this is my industry. I want to study
Yes.
online, and even in online banking, I can define into two part whether I want to go for public sector unit or I want to go for private sector unit, or I want to go for comparative study between PSU and private sector, or there is a third part is I want to go for cooperative banks, right? So even in industry, I have the multiple, there are sub segments. Under the sub segments, which segment I want to do it, right? Or even I want to make a comparison between these two sub segments in terms of the user friendliness and the different kinds of uses that have it as a part of the online banking. That is another aspect, that is EIC, right? And company C stands for company. Under the company, let's say I have public sector and private sector bank. So under the company, let's say PSU bank, I have it. So I want to go for four top public sector bank like SBI, BOB, Central Bank of India, right? And what else you can, right? Union Bank of India, right? And private sector HDFC, ICICI, right? Then I can go for any of the private
Liberty
sector.
access or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So Axis or something. So this is the funnel process, right? I had just started my journey with online banking, right? But how the references is going to help you out, right? So this referencing is going to help you out in terms of EIC model. So whenever you are looking for any references, you must have to see this EIC model into the paper, how they have incorporated. What an EIC model will ultimately give you the scope of the research that you have to study. What should be your ultimate scope, where you will, what you will cover in terms of locations, in terms of industries, in terms of the companies that is supporting to that industries, right? So that is what you all have to see to it, right? So this is called the narrow down of your research area, right? And that's how, if you do this, right, so this kind of literature review in terms of the proper referencing and bibliography that has been done by the previous researcher will help to prove the research on ethical, original, and significant manner, either from your end as a future researcher and either from their end being a past researcher, right? So the research will prove in terms of the originality ground, and most importantly that this research is proven ethical in terms of the all the parameters which has been applied. And that doesn't mean that you cannot take the help of other researchers. So but the research says that if at all you are taking the help of other researcher, you must have the practice to cite those researchers. That is nothing but you are giving the credit to that researcher that you have done this great practices in your research work, and I'm taking this as a base, right? So this is what is
Absolutely. Can I
reference.
have some question regarding this?
Referencing is help you out to prove your research in terms of ethical ground, that if
Sir,
at all you are citing someone as a part of your research, so it will prove on the ethical ground as well, right? So that is very, very important to prove it on the ethical ground as well. Clear?
excuse me, sir. Can I ask one question regarding this?
Yeah, please.
Sir, जैसे आपने अभी बोला, like you have said it कि EIC, we have to use the economic, industry, and company analysis. But
Hmm.
this work will be started from the differences point of view.
Can you repeat your question?
Like how we can go with this EIC concept?
Right.
How we
See,
can start up? Oh,
see, EIC concern always start from basic idea,
okay,
right? At least being a researcher, when you want to start your journey as a researcher, you at
okay,
least have one basic idea of topic that you want to do the research,
okay,
right? So based
right,
on the topic, you start searching literatures,
right,
right? Out of this literature, you will study multiple parameters in the literature,
very
right? So
true.
whenever you study the literature, you keep this EIC model into the minds. That is economy, that is location,
Okay,
industry, which industry paper you are reading, and which companies has been taken as a
got
part.
your point. Got your point. That means the topic which we are going for the research, we should analyze it from the economic point of view, from company point of view, and from industry point of view.
Perfect. So your what is the benefit out of these practices
Right.
is your
Yeah.
title is ready,
Getting your point, sir. Thank you.
right? So your title would be ready, right? So that is what the basic help that you will receive. Let's say you are reading from one paper that is published from the Maharashtra state or Madhya Pradesh, right? So at least you will have the idea that this practices is existing in which kind of areas. Let's say if I'm making, I'm reading some paper for the apple manufacturing juice, right? So juice of apple, right? So apple juice, if I'm doing it, the research, so I can understand that I cannot study this research in Gujarat state, right? Because the area does not support this particular product, right? But this product can exist in Uttarakhand or Jammu Kashmir or something with the hilly areas where the apple is happening. So the factories are also established over there also, right? So I cannot have the respondent to give the answer on these questions. So how I should came to know that I will not get the responses from, even to get the answer that I should not take this particular area as a part of my research. So this also came from the ethical research and the EIC model usage. So EIC model will give you an idea that if at all I'm studying this particular industry or product, why it is there in this particular area and why it is not there in my area. And if it is there in this area, so this product is also belonging to my area or not, right? So all sort of answers you will receive. And that's why the references is played a significant role, right? If at all researcher has to refer your paper, this compilation of the referencing in bibliography will help them. And why you should help the future researcher? Because if at all this researcher found your paper to be significant and supporting to their ideas, they will refer your paper, they will take the help out of your paper, and they will give your citations. And that will help you to give your citations, to improve your citations, which is one of the important aspect of your academic performance index. So it will help you to boost your academic performance index. And once you have been noticed by many researchers into the market, so Google will fetch your details automatically. So you don't have to make efforts, but Google will make an efforts to give you citations and improve your research scores. Is it clear?
Totally agree, sir. Totally agree. Recently
Right.
had an experience. I would say that recently had an experience when my paper got accepted at IGI. So I was a little skeptical with my previous papers when they got accepted, but now Google has started fetching all my data. All of a sudden, everything is visible on Google Scholar.
Right. Because you must have created Orchid ID.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So the detail has been fetched. So Orchid ID will give you auto suggestions to all the researchers who are looking for your research. Right.
True.
And then after you must have received your Scopus ID as well.
Yes,
Right.
it was.
So if you have not received, sooner you will receive. Right. Because if you have published and it is on air, so you will receive it from the journal site. So you will receive the message from the Scopus as well. If you are not receiving, just drop the mail on their contact us. Clear?
Yeah, sure, sure.
So how the research cycles will start? So these are the various stages that you have to see to it. You have to read it, right? So when you are beginner of the research as a research topic, right? So you have multiple literatures surrounding to you. Then how you will decide that whether it is supporting to me or not? Right. So just like, before this faculty development program, or might be you are aware about it, but those who are not aware. So previously you were considering that I should thoroughly read all the things together and then I will get it the idea. But it is not like that. Right. There are some benchmarking, there are some differentiate points that we all have to take into consideration. And based on that, we have to give the justification. Let's say if I'm doing my research on behavioral finance. So those who are associated with this, those who are falling into quality research. So one of the candidate is over here is dealing with the Scopus right now. So you must have received, you must have provided the GEL classification of the research work, sir.
Yes, sir. We were a couple of authors. We did that job, and of course, I have faced rejections, not once, but more than a couple of times. So yeah.
Right. So GEL classification is what? GEL classification is a code which is given for every research topics. Let's say if I have to go for behavioral finance research work, right? And if at all I'm looking for the various papers on Google Scholar, so because I'm looking for the quality papers, so the GEL classification for behavioral finance is G41. So the GEL classification has been defined in the series of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Or might be H. Right. So where the finance has G side, and for finance, behavioral finance has 41. So finance and behavioral finance, so G41. So if at all I'm looking for any literature, and let's say if I have been surrounded by this much amount of literature review, I don't have to bother. Right. What I will do it, I will see to it what is GEL classification of this paper. If it is G41, then I would consider to be as a part of my supporting document. If it is not there, I will put it as references. Now I'm coming to the difference between bibliography and references. So out of all the literature, if I'm doing research on behavioral finance, I'll see to it what is the GEL classification of this particular paper. Let me tell you about first what is GEL classification. So GEL classification is the classification which has been provided by AEA, that is American Economical Association, right? And American Economical Association has provided this GEL classification, which is called Journal Economical Language. What is it called? Journal Economical Language. And these language are A, B, C, D, E, and so on. Clear? So journal economical language provided by American Economical Association, right? So they have differentiated different topics of the research into different categories, right? So if at all I'm looking for finance, so finance topic will always be find out in GEL classification called G. Under the G, there are certain subcategories, right? But if at all any topics is finance, so the GEL classification always start from G. Likewise, if you have another topics, so they will start accordingly, right? I'm not aware about all the topics because I'm dealing basically in finance, so I can only talk about finance right now for GEL classification. But otherwise, research point of view, I give the idea for any topics, right? So if the GEL classification is 41, I will take it this paper as a support. If it is not 41, I will leave this paper. Clear? So this is what you have to see to it. Fine. Another part is, once I found this paper to be supportive, I will start writing about the supporting topics that I can find out. Right. So this is called writing the paper. But what happens if I'll write about every papers? Right. Let's say if I have read something, I'll try to write summary of every papers. Does this suffice the purpose of research? Or do you think that you will be able to do the qualitative research? No. Right. To do the research, you should have certain technical parameters, technical fundamentals, and you have to use those parameters. So you have to filter out those papers which is not supporting to your ideas. So you don't have to read those papers. Kindly ignore it. Right. And if you can't do this, and if you are just behaving like an ordinary person, your situation will fall into this category. Right. Whatever you trying to eat in terms of reading multiple papers, but you don't know what you are eating, on what you are losing, right? Or what you are wasting. That is called wastage of time, right? If you don't know the techniques to do it. And once it happens, the flow of, the papers is comes out, and, the important things that you are missed out over here. So ultimately, you will fall into this category, right? Unnecessary things, you are surrounded by unnecessary things, and important things is already gone into dustbin, right? So ultimately, your research will not categorize into qualitative manners, right? So if at all you want to put your research into qualitative manners, you have to behave in a qualitative manner. And when I'm saying this qualitative manner, so you should know certain parameters of research. I hope I'm making sense.
Absolutely, sir. Very true.
Yes, yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So that's why you have to provide the references in terms of the existing literature review. And once you are doing this references, you must consider that this referencing should be providing either through the research gaps, existing knowledge, or trends of your research. Right. You also define how your research is going to be useful to the people. So whenever the future researcher will read your paper, so they can also utilize this paper as a part of the citation process in the future. And that's why your citation should be appropriate. And why you will get the citation, because you have covered and you have given justification to these parameters, and your objective should be very clear and precise. I always say in my all the sessions in terms of the faculty development programs that there is a synchronization process in terms of the title, right? Objectives, right? Hypothesis, data analysis tools and techniques, and ultimately findings and conclusion. So there is a synchronization process. Nobody should behave in an independent manner. They all should be synchronized in a same manner. So finding and conclusion will be given based on data analysis. Data analysis will be based on hypothesis. So according to the hypothesis, analytical tools will be applied. Hypothesis should be based on objective that you have defined, and objective should support to the title. And ultimately, the title should be reflected in the finding and conclusions. I hope I'm clear.
Yes, sir. Very much.
Right. So this is what the entire process we have to justify, and that is called the research. Right. So very, very important to take those parameters into considerations. Right. So structure of your paper. So basically, all the papers, research projects will be bifurcated into 5 chapters. Basically it starts from introduction, literature review, methodology, results and discussion, and finally findings and conclusions. Whenever you write any papers, always try to see that your language should be very clear and precise. It should not be in a technical jargons, because you must understand this. We are here to looking for, our audience to be on greater side, right? Because if you are from technical person and if I'm from management studies, so if at all I have to refer your paper, I'm not aware about the technical jargons, but I am aware about the ordinary language, right, of the technology. So if at all you want to me become a reader and citer of your paper, you must need to take into consideration that your language should be very clear and precise. Try to avoid the technical jargons. And whenever you cite your research papers, you must need to ensure that this citation should be in APA and MLA or Chicago styles, or whatsoever the journal is supporting. You always read the author's guideline as and when you are going for submitting your paper in Scopus ABDC journals, and you must adhere to all the guidelines which has been given in this particular journals. Then only your paper would be accepted at the administrative level. Otherwise, it will be rejected from the first instance, right? So stay updated. Whatsoever work, innovations, research is happening in your research area, you must keep update your knowledge, and through which you can enhance your learnings. When reflects and improve, so regularly you must try to assess your research process and outcomes and seek the opportunities for the improvement, right? Always stay updated in terms of reading multiple literatures, you know from the various sources that you are receiving, and keep updated of your paper. Sometimes it might happen the person who has cited your paper has given more good works compared to you. So it is a learning for you. Never ever consider to be on the superior side or inferior side. Learning is ongoing process, and it will happen at any place, from anywhere and from anyone, right? So that is what we should not forget this. Engage with peers. Research should always work in a group of people. Try to enhance your networkings. Try to adopt the industry peoples for the submission of the research projects or something. So it will increase your chances to get accepted into various agencies like ICSSR, or whatsoever agencies is applicable as far as your science is concerned, right? And collaborate with experts. So those who are in expert in research in topics, so you always have the collaborative efforts in terms of the joint efforts in submitting the research process. So that is one of the important aspects. So you always look forward this kind of journals, like this is Journal of Retailing and Consumer Services for Marketing, where I'm serving as a reviewer role also. So these are the journals which plays an important role as a part of the quality research, and they always look forward for the problem identification, literature review, and what sort of references that you have utilized as a part of your supporting results. So that is very, very important, that your citation and compiling, referencing, and bibliography from quality journals thus plays a significant role at the beginning stage of your acceptance. So you must focus on this kind of journals: Scopus, Web of Science, Google Scholar, Taylor and Francis. You can also go for MDPI journals, right? So these are the good quality journals that each of the journals are referring to each other. So you must focus to submit your paper in this kind of journal. So this will increase your chances of getting accepted your paper into the journals. Why we need references and bibliography? So obviously, whenever we are writing papers, when we are drafting papers, so it is very important to acknowledge the others' works, and that's where the referencing and bibliography plays a significant role. So obviously, it has a significant importance. Then second aspect is to allow readers to find the sources easily. So just like sir has said that once my paper has accepted, the Google has automatically start fetching my details, right? So what happens is you will put yourself into auto suggestion mode from the researcher point of view, and the researcher will be able to fetch your details. So you will be automatically get noticed into the researcher community, right? And that's where once you will be noticed, it is automatically processed that you have been recognized in terms of recognition and authentications of the works, right? So your work is recognized, you are authenticated, right, in terms of your work and quality of the content that you are delivering, to make your work very informative in terms of the quality. So obviously, referencing in bibliography will give you an idea, just like I had a discussion in the beginning of the session in terms of the EIC model that we have to follow in terms of narrow down the topics with the economic, industry, and company point of view. So if you do this, You will try to reach to the nearest of your findings and conclusion in terms of particular community, companies or particular industry for which you want to conduct this particular study. And that's where you make your research in a more concrete and concentrative manner, through which your research will turns out to be more informative for the reader's point of view. So that is very, very important that you will take care of this parameter. Then to trace the intellectual development of the ideas you present, you always have to track yourself in terms of the intellectual ideas and development that you will put into the practices. And that's where you will be able to notice yourself into the market. So there are various types of referencing and bibliography is happening into the market. One is annotated bibliography, which is happening into the third generation countries, right? So what is this? So annotated bibliography provides a summary and evaluation of each sources listed. Just like we are just providing the referencing over here. But what annotated bibliography is doing it, right? Let's say I have provided one referencing over here, right? So after this referencing, they are utilizing 3 to 4 lines to explain about the content, relevance of the topic, creditability, authority, and usefulness of the topic, right? So if at all you are putting this annotated bibliography, so you try to fetch those details from each of the references that you have it in terms of this way. That is called annotated bibliography, right? So it will create basic understanding that why you have taken this research paper as a part of your bibliography, why you have taken as a base of your research study. So you might provide this reason, so nobody has to ask you, but they will read this bifurcation and they would be able to understand why you have cited this particular paper. So that will be helpful when you put this annotated bibliography. Then next is selected bibliography. So you will only find those bibliography which are most relevant. Just like I told you, whenever you find the literature, you will always see to it the GEL classification if you are doing research on behavioral finance. But out of this GEL classification, G41, you might have gone through all the papers of G41, that is behavioral finance. But you find out that out of the 100 papers, I found that the 10 to 15 papers are not much supportive. So I should not include those papers as a part of my research study or to the helpful hands for the research, right? So what you will do it, you will try to avoid those things and you will only select those bibliography which are completely supporting your research. Or might be you will find out some trackfulness that out of the 100 referencing and bibliography, there are 10 to 15 papers which are completely supporting your research. Means these are the 10 or 15 papers out of which you have taken the maximum ideas of your research work. So that could be your selective bibliography, right? For which you will provide all the details and information about this bibliography. Okay, then third one is subject. So it focus on more source related to specific topics, right? And this bibliography, you can put it either from the books, journals. Let's say if you are supporting some theories, some, history, right? Some definitions, some laws. So this kind of bibliography is called subject. So you are supporting to those subjects and accordingly you are putting those things into the practices. So this is called subject bibliography. Exhaustive bibliography, so exhaustive is completely opposite to the selective. In selective, you will only select those
Sir,
bibliography which is supporting. Yeah.
excuse me, sir. So you just said the word gel classification. Can you please give an example of that?
GEL classification, I told you, let's say if I'm doing research on behavioral finance.
Mm-hmm.
For finance, there is a category called G. But for behavioral finance and cognitive theory, there is a 41 code. So my GEL classification is G41.
Like we can give an example of Sensex 30 or Nifty 50, like that is the
So
category.
behavioral finance is human behavior.
Can you give one more example for this?
Let's say, would you like to invest in stock market? I
Okay.
told you, I had given recent news that the Israel and Lebanon war is going on. So
Right.
tomorrow the stock market is going to be down. And
Mm-hmm.
by looking at my advice, you are the one
Mm-hmm.
person who has not invested. And there is another person who has not listened my advice, but they have
Mm-hmm.
just checked the stock market performance and they have
Mm-hmm.
studied the scenario and they had invested.
Mm-hmm.
What happens tomorrow? Stock market, my expectation was stock market will go down, but today the stock market went up. So you lose the opportunity, although you were trying to invest. But this person has go rationally and they had gained. So you are influenced by my advice. So your
Right.
behavior got influenced by my advice, not by
Right.
the rational thinking
Okay.
that you avoided. That is
That
called
is a
behavioral
well
finance.
classification.
Sorry,
That is called as.
behavioral finance. Your behavior will be influenced by some advice, either from your boss, either from your colleagues, either from your, financial advisors.
Okay, okay. Carry on. So then,
But
what is
but
how it
you are
is
not taking decision based on the rationality. That is studying the past behavior,
right?
right? Okay.
Sir, if I
How it
may,
is how it is linked with gel classification means
Let me show you.
I'm not getting exactly like how we can link the behavior finance with your example of behavior finance with that
Okay.
classification, gel classification.
Uh, yeah. So this is gel classification.
Mm, okay.
If you type over here,
Yeah.
right, so you will receive a gel classification code. You can see this. It has been published by American Economic Association,
AEA, right.
and you have gel classification codes. So if you click on here, gel classification guide, so you will get gel classification for all. But if at all you are clear about what is your topic, then you
Mm,
directly type gel classification for this topic, so it will give you. But if at all you are not aware, so you can have this category. You can see this, right? A to Z. So as I told you,
okay.
financial economics is falling into G, as I earlier told you.
Right. Okay, okay. That you was telling financial economics. That's a G. Okay.
Right. Financial
Okay.
economics. And under the financial economics, you have multiple things,
Right.
right? You
Right.
can see this
Behavior finance.
behavioral finance is four.
Okay, G4. This one you were told, like just
Right.
explaining G4.
Right.
Okay,
Under the
now
G,
it is
you can
clear.
see this. Under the
Right.
four, there is a category 40 and 41. So you can
G40.
see these
Okay.
psychological, economical, factors,
Okay.
cognitive decisions in
So
financial
this is
market.
called
It is
as gel
neurofinance.
classification. This is called as classification. Right?
Right.
Now it is fine. Clear. Done. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Okay. Right. So this is exhaustive one. So chronological means, it is like A to Z and Z to A. So there is much more things which you have to define. So that is, chronological bibliography. Descriptive means whatsoever bibliography that you will take it up, you will try to describe some history of the authors, papers, and some bibliographical details in terms of which kind of journals, and what was the objective and title of the topic. So you're just trying to describe in your own manners of the research, but you must have to have the uniform process. Let's say you have described one bibliography to be on this parameter. So in second bibliography, this parameter should be continued, right? So that is called descriptive bibliography. So what should be the elements that you have to cover as a part of the referencing and bibliography? So you should have the author names, year of publication, title of research work, name of the journal where you have published your paper, which edition in terms of volume and issue, right? And the series in terms of page number or something. So that is what you have to see to it. And we let's see this referencing and bibliography in terms of different style. So this is one of my paper. So you can see this. These are the different styles where the every styles the responses are getting changed in terms of year of publications. You can see this clear. So everywhere the style is getting different. You can see this if you go into Vancouver. So the month of publication is also coming, where in other publication style it is not, other referencing style it is not coming. Clear. So that is how it behaves. Like Chicago is giving first name and last name, MLA is giving first name, but APA is not giving it. You can see this, right? So
So
all
this
these
is
parameters.
author depend upon the journal to journal, no?
No, 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 no. It is
Then
uniform.
okay,
The
this is
citation style is uniform, madam.
okay. Citation style is uniform. style is uniform and the
Citation, we take
bibliography
sites, it
on
will turn into
general.
bibliography,
Right, right.
right? So how they can different with each other? What is citation and bibliography?
Citation, that
Citation
means
means when you pick up someone paper
from their paper,
and you
right?
are putting this author into your paper, this is called citation. Or
Citation.
somebody else is putting your paper into their journal,
Right,
it is called
right,
citation. And
right,
when
sir.
you are taking others' papers and you are putting them this paper into bibliography, this is called
Hmm.
bibliography,
Hmm.
right? But this citation and bibliography would be referred in this manner,
Okay.
right?
Sir, sir, please repeat again about
What you
citation
have
and
not
bibliography.
understood actually, about a lot of discussion we had it.
About about citation and bibliography.
See, citation is means somebody else is citing your paper, but this citation will be created in these softwares in Google will be in the same manner. This is auto generated from Google. Let me show you. You will not understand by this way.
When you
So
give an example now, when you show the things properly, then it will be more clear.
yeah, I know. I know you, madam, previously. And nice to see you again.
Yeah, same here, sir. Okay, we go to the Google Scholar.
Yeah. So this is the profile which I have created on Google Scholar, right?
Hmm.
So this is one of my paper, right? So let's say if I'm searching this paper on Google Scholar, I had just pasted this title into Google Scholar and I'm going into it. You can see this. This paper has been turned out in Google.
Yes, sir.
Can you see
Yes,
this
sir.
citation, site, double inverted comma?
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Over here, you will get all the citations.
Okay,
कौन सी स्टाइल आपको चाहिए जस्ट ले लीजिए वहां से
okay.
ठीक
Got
है
your point. Hmm.
इवन इट इज अवेलेबल इन बिबटेक्स it will get downloaded you can see this bibtex format coding language
Right, sir.
clear
Got it.
so all the formats are available end note format चाहिए तो वो भी ले लीजिए आप वो डाउनलोड हो जाएगा end notes ठीक है you can see this end note file is ready ठीक है so this is how
Done,
you
sir.
can but we have short of time so I cannot show you the,
Absolutely.
so otherwise I will show you the Zotero as well uh, okay so these are the formats of MLA so you can see over here. So this is name and surname of author, title of the paper, right? So this is paper title, name of journal, volume and issue, publication year, and page number. What is the changes in APA style, right? If you go to MLA to APA, so you can see this. You can see this, the year of publication went here. Rest is the same. You can see this again in Chicago, both name and surname is coming in full form, right? And publication year came here again from APA to Chicago. Right. So this is how the changes is happening in the formats. Clear? So what is the difference between bibliography and reference finally? So bibliography means the complete base point of your research, right? So there are two papers. There is one paper which is completely supporting all the, research methodology, data analysis, stempling techniques. You have taken the base from this research paper. So this has given a major idea to your research work. This is turns out to be bibliography. But there are certain theories which you have taken or not much useful paper for your research work. So these resources will turns out to be referencing for you people. Clear? So there is a difference between referencing and bibliography. Clear? And this referencing and bibliography, these are the various sources we have already discussed. And these are the parameters to find out the good quality journals. Like you always search for those in journals which are having high H index. And this way, you also see the university ranking, university affiliation, and quality assurance certificate. Just like you are going for Scopus, which quarter journals, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So depending on that, your research will also getting to be justified. So you all have to see those parameters whenever you are looking for any citations and references. So reasons for citations we have already discussed in much manner, so nothing to discuss much. So thank you so much for your patient listening. Now I'm making the stage open for question answer. If you have it, please ask.
Mm, Sir, about H index.
Yes. Say H index is, the number of papers that you have it and the number of times that you are receiving the citations. You are asking about this one, H index, no? Yeah. So this is what about the number of papers. Let's say I have 3 papers. So it is compulsory that all the 3 papers should be cited by minimum 3 authors for each paper. Suppose if one paper has been cited by 2 times and rest two papers have been cited by 3 authors. So my H index will be 2 and not 3. Clear?
Okay.
So if
Okay, sir.
4
Okay.
papers are there, so 4 papers should be cited by 4 authors for each paper. Then only I would get 4 H index.
Okay, sir.
Sorry, sir, to interrupt. Means if you have 20 papers, then each paper has to be cited 20 times.
Yes, then only you will get H index to be 20.
Thank you so much, sir.
Right. So any other
Uh,
questions?
Sir, like these papers get in reference with your individual profile or with the profile of the university you are
No, no, no,
affiliated.
no. You have to create your Google Scholar ID with your email ID. Right. So even it is a joint affiliation. So if the person is referring to other author, and if you are joint author, then only you will receive the citation if you have fetched the data in your Google Scholar.
Thank you so much, sir.
Right.
Good evening, sir. This is Vijaya.
Right.
I just want to know regarding the citation when during our research process we are asked to publish papers, and once we publish and then we go for our main paper like our thesis. So can we do self quotation or self citation for our paper because it's
Ignore.
already
You
sir?
can, but try to ignore.
Acha, but then
Not up to,
since
not more than 10% should be advisable.
since the college itself is asking us to publish within the papers what we are doing a research,
You
so
can, you can, but your sample size will differ, your target area will be differed, your variable might
okay.
be different, your questions will be different. Then how it should be same?
Okay, so then we should avoid publishing during this process in the same topic or
No, no, topic would be same, but let's say from which city you are, which state you are.
Bangalore.
So let's say, so it is in Karnataka, right?
Yes, Karnataka. But
Okay, so
my research or
the second
my
city.
topic,
No, which is
sorry,
the second?
my it's
Karnataka.
in Hyderabad. It's a
So
Hyderabad.
let's talk Hyderabad in the same paper. See, what is the
Okay.
ultimate purpose is whenever you are doing PhD and your topic should relate either one or the 2 parameters in your research paper. They are not saying that all the, let's say you have 4 parameters in terms of EIC model, like variables, geographical locations, duration. So either of the one, you can take it as a part of your research paper. That would justify to your research area. They are not saying that you
Okay.
should do the copy paste of your title and you do study. But you, if at all you are doing this practice, then you can publish one paper. Then what about second paper?
No, actually, we are publishing various paper like using some case studies or probably something on literature or
Yes,
something.
it is qualitative
So,
research, I think.
yeah, it's a qualitative.
Right. So it is
So
not
in
going to
that
work out,
case,
I think. Right. So
because the main I've not started with my I mean to say the survey process, but through the literature I have done a little publication, so that I can't quote it within the main paper, right?
so do the review paper.
Okay. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So thank you so much for giving your time. Thank you so much, Research Foundation of India, to invite me, Ajay sir, Saurabh sir, Neha madam, and to the lovely audience for interactive, to make this session to be interactive. I hope you have thoroughly enjoyed this session and it will be useful to your research journey in the future. Thank you so much. Over to you, madam.
Yes. So, as we bring today's session to a close, I wish to extend my heartfelt appreciation to all participants for your active engagement, enthusiasm, and invaluable contributions. A special acknowledgement goes out to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Kunal Soni sir, for generously sharing his time and expertise with us. I also want to express sincere gratitude to the organizing committee and its sponsors whose support has been instrumental in making this program possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you.